Hey, what's up? It's your boy BobbySapphire, and today we're going to look at the first tournament results of Set 6, the Two Moons Invitational that happened in Europe. Listen, before you click anything, I'm not going to read you these deck lists. This was a really small event, but there were also some really excellent players at this event, including two people that are currently in the top 10 of the leaderboard. And then after the results of Munich go in, I think like two of the top five potentially. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to look at what good players are doing with set 6 and see what cards they're putting in their decks. And I'm going to tell you why they're putting them in there and what they might be thinking and what they might want to do otherwise. Let's check it out. All right, the first player we're going to check out today is T85 Challenge. When I made my 10 best players in SWU video last year, I got so many messages saying I should have mentioned this guy, Tim. T85 Challenge, he is a PQ grinder, 6 PQ wins, a whole buttload of other top 8s, and he just finished in the top 4 of the sector qualifier in Munich last weekend. He was playing Yoda Green. Now, it's very possible that he would treat this like exactly how I would treat it, which if I had a big set 5 event coming out, I'm not looking at a single set 6 card before my set 5 is over. So we're seeing him run back the same deck. We're taking a look at what set 6 cards are in here. Number 1, we got to shout out Mina Bonteri, the 2-drop Restore 1, 2/4, that when you disclose green heroic, you get to draw a card. That card's crazy. Tim had Lothwolf in this spot. He's upgraded with Mina Bonteri here. The next one is Captain Typho. Captain Typho is from the starter card, the starter deck All-Star. Another Sentinel along with Obi-Wan from the previous set. He also has a disclose of command heroic to heal whenever you're attacked. This 4/5 Sentinel is a huge upgrade for Tim over Chirrut. Now, if I was going to get off of Chirrut, I probably wouldn't even play the Force base. If we're looking here, he's using the Force for Yoda unit, obviously a massive part of his deck, massive part of his run if you watch back any of his sector qualifier games from Munich. He also has 2 itinerant warriors here. I find that I think Yoda's really great. I think Tim really likes Yoda. I think that's why he has clones. This is why he has things like Home 1 and resupply carrier to get to point in games where he can actually like rebuy his Yodas or like buy them off of Keller and crazy stuff like that. Yoda also is a deck that wants 8-drop, so he really wants to have some high end to flip off of Yoda and kill things. But really, Chirrut is a huge MVP against aggro decks that attack on the ground. Captain Typho, if he's better than Chirrut, I think that we should potentially be looking at a 30-point base here, possibly even, and I would say like probably even Data Vault. Yoda's crazy, but I think that there are cards that like replace Yoda in a deck without the Force, whereas like we couldn't replace Chirrut before, so we kind of had to be the Force. But if Tim's embracing Captain Typho, and obviously this is just one event, and playing cards is a spectrum. Tim might not be playing Yoda next week, or he might be back on Chirrut next week. This was just one event and a small event to boot. So we're doing everything with a grain of salt. Oh, I meant to mention that in the previous slide. That's why I had the picture of the crate salt flats there, is because we're taking everything with a grain of salt here. But I think that if we're looking Captain Typho, we should be playing Data Ball or 30-point base, probably Data Ball. Chirrut felt very irreplaceable, but Captain Typho is kind of filling that void. Otherwise, we've got a pretty solid blue-green shell that didn't need a lot of improvements from set 6. We just see Mina Bonteri over Lothwolf, and we see Captain Typho coming in over Chirrut. And there's some other changes too, but those weren't set 6 dependent. And then if you take a look right to the side here, the only set 6 sideboard card that Tim had in the board was Hyperspace Disaster. Looking at the current meta that he faced, I don't know if he came in top 4 and he didn't I don't think he got bounced by Han Pilot, but there was a lot of Han JTL, and I don't know if Tim would have missed that in the main deck, but we do get to play more than half of our games post-board, so I'm sure these cards came in often in this Han 4 JTL meta, and there's plenty of JTL pilots that are really good right now, so Hyperspace Disaster is a huge add for blue-green cards decks in general, but giving blue-green hero a sweeper, a board clear for one half of the board at 7 costs is really great. So shout out to Tim. He finished in the top 4, but he is definitely the highest ranked and most accomplished player in this event. So I wanted to get to his deck first, because if we're thinking about why we even look at an event this small, it's because really good players played, and we want to see what they did differently than they had in the previous set. All right, keeping with wanting to look at really good players and what they're doing with the new set, we got to look at Jonah Roose. Jonah just won the Munich sector qualifier last weekend. He's the only other person on Earth besides me who owns that Anakin mat and the medal, although you can see that my medals are being worn by Grogu behind me here. So technically Grogu has those medals. Jonah won the Munich qualifier with Iden Dadaval, blue-green villain, and we can see here that he's switching things up a little. Actually switching things up quite a bit in playing blue-green villain with Chancellor Palpatine, a starter deck leader. Palpatine is extremely interesting because he allows you to play your first plot for -3, allowing you to have a WTF broken flip turn. One of the strongest ways I prefer to play the game is to find a leader who's going to have an absolutely busted flip turn, and Chancellor Palpatine definitely fits that bill. Jonah fit no fewer than a dozen not a dozen, but he has so many set 6 cards in here, so we're gonna shout him out. He's got the Miser Emergency Powers. I love these 1-ofs in a 60 card deck. Totally gonna find those often. But Emergency Power, it definitely allows you to go big with a unit. I don't know if he has enough units to really facilitate that, but the fact that Chancellor Palpatine unit, which is also in here, makes 2 spies, gives us a little bit of a go wide strategy, possibly keeping enough of our units alive to actually play that for a win. The next one, and then Chancellor Palpatine, when you flip the leader Palp, he gets to play this for free. You get 3 bodies, you get to protect Palpatine, and then you get to just fire off the rest of your plots. Slymore, Cad Bane, which are also in here. Slymore further protects your base. Combining with Chancellor Palpatine, they can't hit your base. They have to slug through 2 spy sentinels. So these are really predicated on, like, he can pick his battle. Does he need to protect Palp, or does he need to protect his base when he flips? So they're really strong in that regard. Condemn, if you haven't checked out my video on Condemn and how Condemn works, because it's really, really complicated, please go check it out. Condemn is a really great card. It's basically replacing Perilous Position in a meta where you're not really worried about Lurking TIE Phantom. I think, like, if Lurking TIE Phantom is everywhere and it's a big problem, we still play Perilous Position, but otherwise Condemn is really strong. I guess Condemn is still really great against Lurking TIE Phantom, right? It's as good. So yeah, maybe we just don't play Perilous Position anymore. We've got Cad Bane for removal as plot, so he can, like, kill something and bring you a 4/5 body. I also really like that Jonah has the 3 of 6 cost plot Sentinel. It's a 4/6, so the body isn't that strong for 6, but when you get to play it as a 3-drop using Palp's ability, it becomes just like one more thing that your opponent has to fight through. You can flip both the Chancellor Palp and the Shock Squad and get 3 Sentinels on the board to protect whatever else you got going on. First Light is also here as a plot. Gets to draw us extra cards. That's one thing that sometimes these blue-green decks have really lacked, is finding, like, other ways to draw cards besides Reinforcement Walker. I've been using the Bardotan Ornithopter in a lot of my decks to get that card draw and get a blue unit on the board, set up things like Cargo Juggernaut. So this is, Jonah is playing a blue-green villain, which is definitely more unit-based control, but when we get to add things like Super Laser Blast and have Overwhelming Barrage, there's still plenty of events to be played. And he's got Merciless Contest here too, because even though it's a unit-based deck, all those units are basically coming into play later in the game, and the early game is played by using these upgrades and these events. So looking in the sideboard, we've got Galen Urso, which 4-cost heroic card. That means that 4 plus 2 is 6, minus 3 is 3. So Chancellor Palp gets to play Galen as a 3-drop, so he can just completely blank an ability. That, I don't know if that's something that Jonah, like, really targeted as being something strong. I think early on in the meta, using cards like Garandan, using cards like Galen Urso, and using cards like Regional Governor are a struggle because you actually have to name cards, and early on in a format you don't really know what people are doing. And then there's when we draw two cards, it's really easy to say, okay, well, you're going to name my aggressive negotiations and I'll just surprise strike you instead. So I'm not sure how good Galen is. I don't know like if it's worth the splash, but I think it's really smart to play a heroic plot when your leader makes plots cost -3. And then, as I already mentioned for Tim's deck in the previous slide, Jonah's got Hyperspace Disaster here too, which is obviously a great card and helps deal with the Space Rush aggro, because there's not a lot here that specifically can deal with it outside of Entrenched and Condemned, though having those two upgrades in that kind of suite is really strong. So in general, I think this is a really interesting take on updating blue-green villain. I'm not sure how much I love First Light even more than, say, the Eye of Scion, or I think it was called. But I like, this is why we're looking, because good players put new cards in their deck and we're trying to see how they did it. But I think like the Sentinel plan with Chancellor Palp and the Shock Squad are really great. Cad Bane obviously really strong, and then just sort of rethought a lot of the ways we look at blue-green villain control. So yeah, cool deck. All right, moving on from the top two of the top 10 players in the world, we're going to take a look at the winner, Mario Goetz, who won the whole event, which is really cool. Went undefeated with Han 1 Data Vault. We know Han 1 Green is really strong. Let's take a look at his set 6 cards. He's got Jar Jar Binks, my call for best card in the set, best plot. Works really well with Han. Works really well because he costs 2 when you flip, so it doesn't blow up your whole turn, and you get a really nice benefit of a +2/+2 that can really protect Han or help push really damage. Or one thing that I really love him for is just playing from your hand and buffing your unit, so it kills something that you wouldn't otherwise kill. This works really great with L337. It works really great with these ships. Ebon Hawk, another card from the new set. That thing can actually get boosted to a 5 attack with Jar Jar. It can go to 7. Surprise Strike, it can go even higher. So I like Jar Jar for really like letting you scale your damage, and that can be really good both when you're trying to trade and clear board, but also just like this deck is always sneaky attack based, just like go face, hit them hard. And if you have an Ebon Hawk and you go Jar Jar Surprise Strike, you are like obliterating your opponent and their life total. Love the suite of 3-cost ships here. I know these aren't set 6 cards, but like the full blue leader, Millennium Falcon, AT Hauler, like it's just crazy. Getting back to set 6, we see that Mario also has Captain Typho in here, another 2 of from the starter set. He is a great way to protect Han. In the past, my teammates and my teammates, and I think a lot of the people in the meta are using the 3-cost Obi-Wan because it's cheaper. He pulls more cleanly with Keller and Beck, which is really strong play. But obviously, Typho's very strong. I don't see any reason why you wouldn't play both. But when you use Obi-Wan for 3, you still get to do things like have resupplied that turn, right? So because sometimes we'll resupply and then put a resource down and be at 6 or 7 resources, but 6 before Han attacks, and that allows us to do something like Hotshot Blaster or Waylay if someone else slow rolls the Sentinel. So I don't know if I like Typho better than Obi-Wan, but I will say one of the things that we talked about at the top of the show is we're trying new cards, and even though I wouldn't do it this way, I mean, it's not like I'm anti-Typho, I just don't think that I would play these before I like played Obi-Wan, especially in a 60-card deck. We have plenty of room. The other card that's breaking into the main deck here is the Lightmaker, which is the Hammerhead ship from Rogue One. This thing's got Raid 4. So it hits for 7, and when it's defeated, it exhausts an arena, which is like a pretty nifty text, but pretty easy to play around for opponents. I think most opponents will just like bounce it or tap it or ignore it. But obviously it does hit really, really hard when it hits for 7. I think it's even sneakier when you play sneak attack with it. But I think it's really funny that people are so high on Lightmaker as a 3/4, but no one plays the Blue Squadron attack wing that's a 5/5 raid 1 that hits for 6 and actually like trades back with almost everything. That is draft chaff, but it was also like draft all-star limited all-star for me that I've actually started putting it in. My friend Justin, KTOD Justin, mentioned that to me. It's like everyone's on Lightmaker, but like no one plays the 5/5 ship that you love. So I've actually started playing that 5/5 ship instead of putting the Lightmaker in. I know like Lightmaker's fun and it hits for one more, but the body's much more small, and like tons of things trade into it. Like it just gets eaten by a hauler. Whereas like if I'm paying 5, why aren't I paying for a 5/5 that doesn't die to hauler? So I don't know. People like shiny things, people like legendaries, but sometimes basic ass commons just get the job done. And then a couple awesome cards in the sideboard here for Mario. He's got Queen Amidala, who is just like the best legendary in the set. And then Trade Route Taxation, which is a really great plot to play with just about any leader when you're playing against a control deck and you think that they might be trying to play something like Arrival's Fall. I really like it in Ray right now. No one played Ray at this event. I was excited to talk about Ray. But I think Trade Route Taxation is like a must sideboard card for any green hero deck that cares about its leader. I think that card is crazy. But Amidala here didn't make the main deck, which is surprising because I think I like her better than like Zori Bliss. I know Zori has Smuggle, which brings a whole other element of like amazingness. But if I'm going to pay 5, I'd rather just have Amidala surviving and hitting for 5 and carrying a blaster really well. So I like Amidala in the main deck, and I'm glad that Mario included it here. But a lot of really great cards here, and played the deck really toolboxy, just like a lot of 2-ofs. You know, for a 60-card deck, that can be dangerous, but you get the 3-ofs are the most important things. You got Blaster, Blue Leader, Resupply, all your 3-cost ships, Keller and Ewing, and this Empus Nest Han thing counts as 3. Your pilots. So really cool list, really strong list, one of the strongest, and something I'm sure my team will be on. But I like this build, and shout out to Mario for winning the whole event. All right, now we're going to take a look at Nikos Koller, who came in second at the event, playing Han JTL Han 4 with Tarkentown, and a lot of new cards in this deck as well. Number 1, the new A-Wing, the 1/2 with Raid 1. I think this is like one of the best cards in the game. This ship is crazy. It's really good in Vader. It's really good in this. It's really good in Kaz. But the top end cards are where this deck is really converting. Sudden Ferocity, again, if you haven't checked out my video about the new Set 6 mechanics, the way you can stack Sudden Ferocities with Han Solo is like you can play a Sudden Ferocity and it's like basically free because Han sees it if you order the triggers for playing a plot first and then triggering Han sees the Sudden Ferocity, and that counts as an upgrade, obviously. So you get to it's basically always free if you're flipping Han onto an odd ship because he'll always untap 3 resources. Han also has WTF broken turns, and Sudden Ferocity just made it that much stronger. It also allows you to play the Wrong Ride, which is another Set 6 card that Nikos put in here, which is a really great card. What's really great about this is that Han's action is like so many things happen, and that one action of deploying, that you get to like take initiative, start your turn, flip your Han, play Wrong Ride, untap a bunch of resources, still do a bunch of things. So you get to in effect shut down your opponent's turn and still take a full turn. Like Han's thing is you get to have a 10 resource flip turn, and then imagine if when you take a 10 resource flip turn your opponent gets a 3 resource flip turn. That's terrible. It's really hard to keep up. When your opponent, it's really hard for an opponent to keep up when they have 5 resources against 10. And then, of course, we have Aggressive Negotiations, which is an insane pump that lets you attack for +1 for each card in your hand, which works really nice with Boshek, drawing you extra cards. And then because this deck doesn't really need to resource beyond 5 resources ever, the fact that when you have it in your hand, you can simply not resource for that turn, and you're attacking for like +4, +5, +6 when you play it. So all of these things kind of combine into being like a really strong aggro push that really just needs to give Han something to flip onto, and you can pretty much, push as much damage as you want. The bad part about this deck, if you haven't checked it out, is just like those turn 1 plays are all like really small, really easy to kill. But we have awesome 3-cost cards in Millennium Falcon, and Sanctioner Shuttle, which is really easy to turn on here and slow down your opponent by capturing their stuff. And you have Tarkentown in case your opponent does play ships that eat your ships. You can trade back with your base. So really great cards here, and some of the best cards in the set: Aggressive Negotiation, Sudden Ferocity, the A-Wing, and we see the Lightmaker here, which we already talked about, but these are standard. This is a pretty standard build out for this. You're going to see aggressive negotiations. You're going to see sudden ferocity. You're probably going to see Lightmaker, unless you're going to play the Blue Squadron Assault Wing, and then you're going to see this A-Wing. And I think the Wrong Ride is a little spicy, but people should play it. It's really strong. All right, I really want to shout out Icegnome, who got 11th at the Munich sector qualifier last weekend. He also played Han2 ECL, which is a really popular deck over in Europe. So shout out to him. Shout out to Lucas. I went and checked to see, I wanted to see what the people in this event ran, and after seeing how they did at the sector qualifier. So Lucas is the first one here. I'm not even sure how he did in the 2 Moons. I'm just really, like I said, interested in what good players are doing with their lists. And he did really well last weekend, so let's take a look. What he did was he cut main deck Chams and the main deck IG-11 for 3 main deck Queen Amidalas. Queen Amidala is absolutely busted in this deck. Being able to play her for 4, and then keep her as a 5/1, and then keep her alive because of officials. And then, Lucas isn't playing this, but you can also play Jar Jar, who's an official. It's another person to keep her alive, and it's another really aggressive card. So if I'm playing Han2 ECL, and I've been playing a lot of Han2 ECL, we really like Jar Jar in the deck as well, so I'd look there. The other upgrade that he has over his deck from last week was he's playing Nemec. The absolutely busted 2-drop 3/2 hidden that when you disclose you get a ready spy. This is so much better than the battlefield marine that he had last week and that we've all been playing for sets. So this is a really strong card. Han2 ECL was already an insanely strong deck, and it got 2 huge buffs in Nemec and Queen Amidala. I don't know if in this current meta, especially knowing who showed up, that I would put the Chams in the sideboard. I would think I still want the Chams main deck here. But no doubt about it that Queen Amidala and Nemec are great adds. And then he's got 1 Captain Typho in the sideboard, which we've already talked about at length, but Typho is an absolute bomb, and being able to get a 4/5 for 4 that heals you is really great and teams nicely with an Obi-Wan that your opponent just slogged to get through. So still a really strong deck. Put Nemec and Amidala in your Han2 ECL decks. All right, and I also wanted to shout out JessyBlack's deck. This is Celine. She played Sabine ECL last weekend in Munich, I believe, and I'm almost positive that that's what she played when she got 10th in Bilbao at the Bilbao Regional a few weeks ago. And the reason why I wanted to shout her out is because she had a really spicy set 6 card that I just had to give credit to. Undercover Operation. Ready a unit played this phase. If it costs 3 or less, create a spy token. So this is like a more expensive sneak attack, but it also gives you something to flip Han into. And if your opponent cleared your board, you can play a 1-drop Undercover Operation it, flip Han onto it, untap some resources, get your sudden ferocity out, play another Han Pilot or something, or maybe even get a Falcon out depending on what else you put on the board. So it just sort of lets you sneakily get a whole board and trigger Han's ability and get damage in play seemingly out of nowhere, and then also just sort of serves as a sneak attack late in the game. You could play a Millennium Falcon, untap it, and then put a Han Solo on it and attack for 5 or 6. So I think this is a really sneaky, interesting card. Otherwise, the build out is pretty much similar to what we looked at earlier. Obviously, a couple different cards, but when it comes to set 6 cards, she still has the Sudden Ferocity, the Wrong Rides, and the Aggressive Negotiations. But I really, really thought that was an interesting play here, and hope it worked well for her. So all right, so that's a look at the deck list from the 2 Moons Invitational that use set 6 cards, and let's see what's next for Star Wars Unlimited competitive play. All right, so if you didn't know, the Bothan Invitational 2 Beatle 3v3 event, KTOD, will be defending the title. There's also an individual 12K. This is the biggest community-run event in America. Gives away the most cash anyone gives away. It's Star Wars Unlimited. This is the next big event in Star Wars Unlimited. It's this weekend. It's in Atlanta. It will be live streamed. I will be watching. You should all be watching because it's going to be some of the best players in the world and see what they're bringing and what they're doing with set 6, which is exactly why I made this video, because I wanted to start looking at how people are approaching set 6. PQs don't start till December 6th, so I still have a whole month to figure my life out. But the way I do that is following the meta, keeping up with everything, listening to what people are doing, and being thoughtful about what I see. So I tried to bring you into that thought process. I hope you found it beneficial. Hope you learned something. If you did, or if you didn't, let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear about what you thought of this video and what other videos are you looking for me to make you. Just knowing that my ethos is bring people up to speed, getting them educated, and having them think about the game more thoughtfully. So I'll see you December 6th when the PQs start. But until then, thanks for watching.